Let's take you to get a sense of what's moving the markets. I am joined by Simphiwe Letlojane, who's Head of Investment Strategy at Absa Investments. A very good afternoon to you, Simphiwe. Thank you so much for your time. It's been another busy week for investors. What's really driving markets right now?
Yeah, I think on the local side, we're actually seeing a bit of a rebound there. Resources are actually up. If you're looking at the past couple of days, of course, today's trading session is a bit choppy, but they've had a good, trading environment over the past couple of days. And that's really, as we're seeing the likes of gold beginning to pick up a little bit in momentum, so a little bit of a recovery there. Of course, geopolitics still continues to be what is at the center of what's driving a lot of market movement. So, of course, right now, we're seeing some, optimism around a potential deal with Iran, where, we'll see possibly the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. So that's really driving positive market sentiment. And then on the offshore side, we're still seeing momentum largely being driven by, AI and all of the developments that are happening there, and it's really a tide that's lifting quite a lot of boats.
As we speak geopolitics and a potential deal with Iran, oil prices remain highly sensitive to developments in the Strait of Hormuz. How significant is this route for global energy markets as we essentially keep a very close eye on whether a deal will be signed or not?
Yeah, it's a very, very important route. I mean, it's one of the main, if not the biggest, choke point as far as global trade, specifically from a global oil movement perspective. It accounts for close to 20% of movements of global oil across the globe. So it really is quite an important strait. We are seeing some developments there that it could reopen, temporarily, of course, even though Iran is highlighting that it is a temporary measure and it's not necessarily the full opening, but definitely positive. And you're seeing some positive movements from a Brent crude price perspective. But of course, things have been very volatile. Things have been very choppy. We've seen global oil prices recently hitting again the $100 per barrel mark. So still quite a lot of uncertainty generally in terms of what's playing out there, but definitely taking the reprieve.
You also touched on artificial intelligence being an element in what's moving markets. We know that AI has dominated many company results. Are businesses finally showing that artificial intelligence investments are translating into real profits?
Certainly, I mean, a lot of the counters are seeing fairly aggressive profitability growth. If we're looking at the latest earnings season that has just, as we continue to see companies releasing their earnings, quite a lot of profitability coming from, all segments of the AI value chain, from the manufacturers of the chips to the designers of the chips, to the memory, chip makers as well, and quite a lot of profitability really playing out for those counters. And we're seeing accelerated growth over the next, still being forecasted over the next couple of years. So it's quite a lot of momentum and quite a lot of demand as well for overall use case of AI, which will tend to benefit a lot of companies from a margin perspective, where a lot of things just from a cost perspective will tend to be a lot easier to effectively do with AI.
And touching on local earnings, Pick n Pay has been in the middle of a major turnaround. From the latest numbers, what is your take on what we're essentially seeing unfold?
Yeah, I mean, it's still fairly muted growth. I think the turnaround, unfortunately, is coming against a tough macro backdrop. So really not a lot of levers that they can play around with in order to get a lot of growth. And of course, one of the key levers that is being used by the likes of competitors, so ShopRite, and even within their own business, the likes of Boxer, is more vertical, horizontal in terms of store expansion, where if you're looking at same store sales, that's really just muted single digit growth. So not a lot of levers for them in terms of what will, make the recovery a little bit faster.
Very quickly, Boxer continues to outperform. Do you think it's become the group's biggest growth engine at this point?
At this stage, yes, definitely. It is one of the, key growth drivers for the business, because there you do have additional levers to play with in addition to just seeing same-store sales growth. They're also, expanding quite rapidly in terms of footprint across the country. But we're actually also seeing some growth coming through from online sales, so that picking up in terms of the app, the likes of Pick and Pay, ASAP, so that beginning to pick up a bit of momentum, and their deals with and collaboration with Mr. D. So that also becoming a key growth engine, but it is, of course, a much smaller component of overall business.
Very well. Thank you very much for speaking to us and giving us some insight on some of the big drivers insofar as what's moving the markets. Simphiwe Letlojane, who's Head of Investment Strategy at Absa Investments. More news on the other side of this.